I want to segue into another guest that's like I've been doing like a public television thing where we're like linking things, and that's why it's emotionally complicated, because you're my future mom-in-law. You pooped on a scarf. You were Mama LaRusso. You were,
she was Rizzo in Grease on Broadway.
You were Rizzo. You were the original Rizzo, right? Were you, or no? There was one original Rizzo, but then wait, were you the original Rizzo or not?
No. You
weren't.
still love me?
Wait, well, no, but I mean, but after, like, who played original Rizzo?
Adrienne Barbeau.
And no,
yeah.
Wait,
on Broadway, Adrienne.
Oh, okay,
right,
really, Adrienne Barbeau?
Yeah, Adrienne
from Swamp
Barbeau.
Thing?
Huh?
I know her as Adrienne Barbeau from Swamp Thing. Like she was an
right.
80s
yes.
like she Bazumba's like
breasts,
kind of like 80s B movie
right.
kind of thing.
Yeah, she was the original.
Okay, she was original Rizzo, but then you like did a huge run of Rizzo on Broadway. You were basically
2 years.
And so our next guest was
Johnny Angel.
Johnny Angel. Does anybody, you guys know Grease?
Teen Angel. Why did you say Johnny Angel?
The beauty school dropout, the song, like the guy comes and he sings the beauty school dropout. Anyways, I'll explain beyond that connection why we're bringing him up. Okay. Please welcome Bob Garrett.
Bob Garrett.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
I'm very nervous because Randy gave me this scarf for my birthday.
Mom, you got to talk into the mic.
Okay, eat that mic.
Sorry. We know each other from college, and then we did Godspell together, and then Grease together on Broadway. So we go back a long 50 years. But he tells everybody I'm his nanny.
Correct.
So, yeah.
And a good one you were.
Oh, I was the best.
But Bob, there's a linkage here. I mean, look, I'm not a good podcast host. I'm not a good podcast producer. But things happen. We follow our guts and our feelings and stuff. And we recently lost a friend that we've talked about many times on this podcast, like kind of in the periphery. Like we've probably mentioned his name a dozen or 24 times in 300 and some episodes because he was so instrumental to our lives. This guy, Sam Christensen. And he just recently passed a few weeks ago. And it was like very unexpected. And I know that weirdly, Randy had a connection to him. I mean, I know Sam knew you and Cody, but that was just like weird coincidence. And I said, Randy, will you come on the show? And like now seems like a good time because maybe you could tell some Sam stories. And you're like, I don't know Sam well enough to like eulogize him, but Bob, who you've met, like was really close to him. You saw him right before his passing. And so I thought, Kismet, we need to eulogize Sam Christensen, someone that like, he's not a household name, but if you've listened to this podcast for hundreds of episodes, then Sam has like been caressing and touching you the entire time because Jeff and I's origin stories go back and intertwine with Sam. And so for those of us, like, let's kind of like now just like remember him and start with how did you meet Sam, Bob?
Well, we were doing Godspell, and Sam was the liaison between the actors and the producers. He worked for the producers. And he was so great. And every time he'd come to the theater, he'd say, by the way, tonight, Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward are here. And they're not coming backstage because Paul doesn't come backstage. And then Paul Newman would walk into the theater in an all-white suit in February. But
do you know who Paul Newman is?
I mean, they've heard of him.
So anyway,
His salad dressing guy.
Yeah.
The salad dressing.
The salad dressing. Right? I started doing cabaret acts, and I didn't want to ruin my reputation with the owners, so I asked Sam to represent me, and that turned into him becoming my full-time manager. And then we became best friends, and then he ultimately got me to come out to Los Angeles for meetings and manage me, and he became like my best friend.
And somewhere along there, I don't know what date that is, but so what I know of Sam is that he's working with actors in this capacity. He was an assistant to casting directors. He worked on MASH, like in some capacity, like below the casting director, right? But
Well, this is how brilliant he was. He started out working as an associate with a casting director, and then he opened his own agency, and he came out here, and one of the first things he cast was the movie Network.
Yeah.
And he started to say, when he got the script, you have to cast Faye Dunaway in this part. And they said, oh, we can't afford Faye Dunaway and she'll never do it. And we have a little budget and everything. So they brought in every B actress in Los Angeles to read for this part. And they kept saying,
For Network?
For Network. And we can't get anybody. And why is nobody good? And he said, Faye Dunaway, why won't you let me? She'll never do it. She'll never do it. We can't afford it. He said, just let me get the script to her. I promise you, she'll pay you to do it. And they sent the script to her, and she said, I don't care what it costs you. What I get, I want to do this film. Then she won the Academy Award. So then he opened his own agency and did MASH and did all these things. And he was...
Sam totally demurred when I asked him about that. He made it sound like he was just kind of an ancillary character in that story, but I didn't know that he actually helped cast that movie.
He was the one. He was the Faye Dunaway guy.
Wow.
that story makes perfect sense, and it makes perfect sense that Sam never told it that way. I had heard about him being involved with that, but he downplays it.
To give some context, if you don't know who we're talking about, Sam, when I was 24 years old, I had a girlfriend who had taken his class, and he does this kind of essence like workshop where you find out essentially who you are. And you get 7 kind of statements to describe exactly why you are who you are, whether you like it or not. And the girlfriend at the time said, I was broke, and she goes, find the money, take the class, don't ask any questions. And I ended up doing it, and it really was the reason I started working, because like you have this self-knowledge. And then I told like Dan and Rob and everybody, and I told Drew Carey about it, and Drew Carey now still sent everybody to, it's like, you have to find out who you are. And even if you think you know who you are, you don't have the permission to say out loud what it is that makes you you.
And find out how people perceive you. Because Sam's philosophy was when you're on a playground, you know, you're having this obsession with like, who am I? How do people perceive me? And the very things that make you unique, anything that makes you stand out, you're tall, you're short, you're black, you have freckles, but more importantly, your personality, you're sloppy, you're neat, you're practicing being exceptional, and everyone else is practicing being everyone else. And you go into your adulthood with these traumatic kind of like labels about the things that people pointed out about you as you were developing. Because whatever made you different than everyone else, absolutely, this is not like society's job is to try to like call you out and go, you're sloppier than everyone else. You're fatter, you're taller, you're weirder, you're slower, you're faster. But when you're a kid and you're developing, you're like, okay, I need to fix that shit or I'm in big trouble. It's right of you to like want to fit in. But then once you hit 18, 19, 20, it's time for you to drop that shit, actually. Like your body's designed to drop that shit, but society's not designed to tell you when it's time to let that go. Because Sears and McDonald's are more than happy to step in and go, hey, you don't want to be fucking weird, buy a Happy Meal. Like no one's going to tell you to drop that shit. Sam's class was telling you, okay, time to drop that shit. What sparks your shame? What go through his exercises would be go through all your love letters from high school, go through your yearbook signings.
We've been getting called the same names since we were children into our adulthood. And if somebody likes you, and like let's say like Dan, for instance, there's a way to describe how Dan is smart. If you like Dan, you say, "Oh, he's a genius. He's an intellect. Like he's a mastermind." If you don't like Dan, you go, "Oh, like he's a
genius, and I hate him."
Yeah. but being able to say in a couple words exactly how you're smart, Cody, and Bob, like what makes you edgy, or what makes you the neighborhood of how we would describe you as being witty, but precisely say it. And there's these words that we have all been called our whole lives. Like Sam pointed out early on when I first met him, and he said, Katharine Hepburn, when she was 18 or 19 when she did Philadelphia Story, every review called her feisty. When she was 80-something and she did On Golden Pond, everybody called her crusty. If you're feisty at 18 and crusty at 80, what the essence is defiant. It's like you don't need men, right. And that's what made her great was that all of her roles was I don't need you. And if you're 18 or 80, it's a defiance.
We have different ways of saying what's special about you. Their memories of what's said that's special about you on the playground are probably negative. Then you have lovers throughout your life. They find the positive ways of saying it. It doesn't really matter. And also, crucially, it doesn't matter whether they're accurate. Sam always used the example of Goldie Hawn, who is a very, very smart actor who
she could debate your ass off on any topic.
She happens to be
intellectual.
When she was young, it was her, the way the public wanted to perceive her, the way that she would get gigs. It was like the people looked at her and said, "You're an airhead. You're a bimbo. You're a blonde idiot. Whatever." Like you're. There's probably healthier ways to say that, but that are equally not acknowledging the truth about her intellect or her depth. But if you're presenting yourself to the public and you're for public consumption, it's not necessarily a bad thing if people don't know everything about you.
Right, because it's not the way you see you, but the way the world sees you.
And when you kind of step on that gas pedal and go, I always use the example of Louis Anderson, who would start his stand-up act and he would do 5 or 6 fat jokes, and then he would pause and he'd wait, and the laughter would subside, and he goes like, I start my set with a bunch of fat jokes because I know it's like, oh, it's so predictable, but also if I don't start my set that way, you guys are going to be out there for 45 minutes, and some of you are going to be like, do you think he knows? And I always equated that with Sam's thing, where it was like, charisma is Christopher Walken knowing he's creepy. Charisma is Jack Nicholson knowing he's dirty. Charisma is a fat person like leaning into they're like, well, I'm not going to try to convince you I'm not fat. That has nothing to do with me endorsing body shaming or like, thinking it's better to be thin or whatever. It's just like there's a weird energy you exude the day you go, well, I'm kind of on the same page with how I am perceived at first glance. And it kind of blows your mind. It's actually more likely that you're way off because of the amount of refraction. And I just remember the exercises that we did.
Yeah, can you tell us about the airport thing? Because that was
I've said it on the show before too. It's like just so I'm trying to rush through it, but it was like that was my big eye opener where I was like, okay, this guy's not full of shit. We went to the airport. It was pre 9/11, so you could just walk around the airport, and we would do this exercise where we handed out forms and
it sounded like the worst idea. Like this. Oh, this sounds like a horrible homework assignment to go to the airport.
So
with
people
somebody else
all
in
around
the
international terminal are handed these forms, and they go like, so your classmates say, "Look at that guy." So that guy's me. I don't say a word. I just lean against the pillar.
standing 100 feet away over by a pillar, and you go like.
And you have this sheet in front of you with 300 words on it, and they don't give you a limit. They don't ask you to engage like doing it right or wrong. And just circle any word that you think applies to that guy over there, right there. He's down with it. It's fine. You can stare at him. We're part of a psychology class, we would say. And so they'd sit there, circle. People from Poland, people from Memphis, people from Fort Lauderdale. Like you're just in this LAX terminal. You do that for 5 hours. You leave LAX with a giant stack of papers. You go home. You tabulate everything. And then I'm like, why the fuck does everyone in the world think I'm sarcastic? And lazy.
And you're just standing there. I went with a guy that looked like Charles Bronson. He was a weird dude. And we got in the car, and we did like 50 of them. And he's going through, he's like, he's looking from side to side. He's like, what the fuck? What? God damn it. Why does everybody think I'm suspicious?
And Schraub went to the weekend class with Schraub. You're not supposed to look at your cards when you go to lunch, by the way. You were told.
What? What did I what?
So Schraub looked at his cards, apparently, because like we did the same class. Like we were there for hours, and then you go to lunch.
This is classmates writing down things about you.
So then you take the class, and then your other classmates write shit down as you get these exercises. I go, okay, go to lunch. That was my impression of Sam. And Schraub and I are walking down the sidewalk, and Schraub's like, and I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, nothing. What did you get on your cards? And I didn't look at my cards. You're not supposed to look at your cards. And Schraub's like, and I'm like, what did you, okay, obviously you looked at your cards. What's your problem? And Rob goes, I am not C-3PO! Waving his hands around with his elbows locked at 90 degrees as if fucking
First of all, if I did that, I would be nothing like C-3PO because he never did that.
Yeah. Anthony Daniels
you're embellishing to
okay, well, that's how I remember it because you're kind of like C-3PO.
Well, Sam, part of the class, which is amazing, is like he gives you kind of find out mythologically who you are and like what your myth is, like where you live on Mount Olympus and what the story is that you tell. Because all of our favorite like actor and actresses, they all kind of portray the same role in different ways, but they're always kind of fulfilling a same kind of myth. And I asked Sam, what's your myth? And he said, mine is to remove fear. And if you could say anything great about Sam, and there's lots of great things to say, Sam took fear away from people, and he gave you like freedom.
He created this environment where I was in my 20s. I was the worst version of me, and that's me talking. I'm already not a good person. Imagine me at 25, like where I'm like still cutting my teeth, being a human being, and it's like, but there was this space. Anyways, I think what we wanted to do is like we could have at any point talked about, oh, these are Sam's superpowers. This is why you should be interested in them. I think Bob, your contribution to it is you were very close to him for his whole life, and I asked you backstage. It kind of caught me off guard. It was like, when's the last time you saw him? Because we saw him relatively recently, but you saw him 2 weeks ago.
Well, he'd come to my house every Friday night, and we'd watch Bill Maher, and we'd cook. And one of the things, talk about taking away fear.
Yeah.
You know, I just got a soup maker, right? So I said, I'm going to make soup for you in my new soup maker, which takes 18 minutes. So I make this soup, and he said, he tastes it, and he says, yeah. And I said, what do you mean, yeah? He said, it's good, but what would make it great is if you added an entire lemon to this soup. So I squeezed the lemon into the soup, and he said, this is the best soup I've ever had.
Well, he's kind of, he's pulling a little trick there. He's like, I think I'll create a story where I knew exactly what needed to be in the soup.
Exactly.
So
Right.
when you did Sam's class, the first part, back when I did it back in the old days, like when you still could go to the airport and do that thing, later it became more like online and internet-based and faster. You would do the class, you would get your essences, and then if you wanted to keep going, you would do an acting class where you get a placard and you would put it on a music stand with your 7 statements about who you were. And it's the kind of the neighborhoods of like all the things people know about you on sight, but you don't know that people know that. And it was just getting used to admitting that and knowing that people saw that stuff. And then you would do a monologue. So you could be anything. It could be I did something from Network, or you could do something from Shakespeare, whatever the hell. And there was a guy in the class. It was a black guy, really good actor, and he did this piece where it was like a really angry piece. I forget what it was. And he had a ball cap on, and Sam goes, "Let's do it again. I want you to turn your hat a little bit to the side." And instantly the guy looked furious. And he goes, "Just do it again. And turn your ball cap to the side." And he did it, and it was the fucking best acting you've ever saw. And when it was over, he instantly put his hat back straight. And Sam goes, "Why does that make you so angry?" He goes, "I don't want to be thought of as the guy that has the ball cap to the side." He goes, "You see how close your anger is? Like, if you need it, all you have to do is be thought of or perceived as less than you are."
Right. Well, that's the thing is like if people think that if you find out what your essence is, that's equally empowering if you want to play the opposite of it or whatever. Like being able to tap into your stuff. One thing I'm curious about Bob now that he's gone, like you knowing Sam probably better than us on stage. Like, how did Sam like? Did Sam have where was he at? He was this kind of guru. He had this studio in Burbank. My perception of him was always that he had plans to make it bigger. He would do the internet version, and he was trying to empire build, which I totally relate to, which I have tried to do. Like, oh, it's not enough that I'm just gonna do what I do. Was he frustrated about the business of being Sam, or was he content with it? Like,
No, he was content. First of all, he did a lot of traveling to New York and Atlanta and all over the country. And he'd go for weeks at a time. And that was very rewarding to him because he blossomed this business to reach so many people. But it was a business of really having people center in on who they really are and how to maneuver themselves through life in a successful way. And that was incredibly rewarding to him.
it just seems like that's good. I'm glad that. Because from my perspective, I always thought when I heard he passed, I was like, oh God, he had just retired. And he didn't, like, it was such a thankless job. He just put up with a bunch of dipshits like me forever. Like, we just kept gathering at his feet, and he would go, all right, Dan, that's an interesting choice in that Fight Club monologue. What do you like about your mother? What, my mother? What does that have to do with Fight Club? What color was your mother's hair? I don't know. Brown. Go. How's that working out for you? Fight Club. Yeah, do it better. It just seemed like. By the way, I never chose the Fight Club monologue. Fuck you if you did.
Wait, can we find out your words though? I want to know your 7 words.
Oh, I can't remember all 7. Bob, did you take Sam's kind of class where you got your essences?
But I got my essences from living my life as his best friend. But what was interesting to me is when I started out in cabaret, he said to me at one point, so who do you see yourself as? And it was in the days of Bonnie and Clyde with Warren Beatty. And I said, well, I think I'm the Warren Beatty of song. And he said, you're not. You're not.
You're the Faye Dunaway of song.
Yeah, more the Faye Dunaway. So he said, so here's the thing. He said, you're in Godspell. You get laughs every night. Now what you have to do is start talking between numbers in this act and be who you are with your humor instead of just singing one song to the next song to the next song, which helped me discover who I was. And then once I was authentically me, I was able to attract people in record companies to be interested in me because I wasn't trying to be Warren Beatty anymore, even though in my mind I was secretly wishing I could be.
We all have that person that we target. We think like, oh, I wish I was like them. And the curious thing is that you might, by virtue of some random experience, you might actually find yourself being someone else's thing. And what a crime it is that person's looking at someone who's thinking, I wish I was Bill Murray. Yeah, well, that person doesn't wish that you were Bill Murray. That person may or may not know who Bill Murray is, but it's like, I always wonder where you're supposed to draw those lines. We have these mentors, these figures. I had an epiphany while I was watching this person do stand-up or perform. Like, I wish I was Gary Shandling. I wish I was David Foster Wallace. I wish I was this. I wish I was that. Like, what are you supposed to construct your identity out of if it's not other primates around you who have done things that you've admired, and yet somewhere within there, you're supposed to just be yourself. And it's the most useless advice in the world. But Sam somehow was able to get into that yoke.
I remember like half of your essences, Dan, and probably like a few of yours, Rob. But like when, because I took it first, and then you start telling everybody, go take this class whether you're an actor or not. Right. Like, it's really valuable no matter what you do. Like that self-knowledge thing. And it sounds culty to talk about, but it really was, this is beautiful. There's no way to express how much Sam means to people.
It was super culty.
When Rob took it, like when I got my essences, Sam tells you, he's like, there's going to be one essence that's going to be kind of an epiphany for you that you're going to go, oh, that's how I say that. And he told me, like, we were trying to talk about the neighborhood of my poise or my confidence. And if you don't like me, I'm arrogant. If you like me, I'm poised. If you there's that thing. And he wrote down a thing, and he put it on a piece of paper and slid it across the desk. He goes, anybody else would hate this, but I think you're going to like it. And it was the neighborhood of my confidence or cockiness or whatever. And it was not conceited, just convinced. And I hit the fucking desk and go, exactly. I said, I don't think I'm better than you. I know I'm better than you. And I almost started crying. And I remember the one that Rob had is my favorite one for you, Rob. Last puppy at the pound.
Love it. That's great.
That's not the one. I see that one. I love that Rob's
one.
that I remember is Waiting for Permission.
Also, my other favorite is Little Green Man.
Yeah.
Like you're from outer space.
Yeah.
And then the next year you dressed up as Little Green Man for Halloween, and it was the best outfit of all
It's
time.
true. It was a good
And
one.
what about fucked a dog but won't admit it? He got you on that one.
You're doing this again.
I love that.
Yeah, you're doing this.
Oh,
This is what you're doing.
Some of Harmon's, the overriding one for me is, and it sounds weird, but it is perfect. It's Mud Monster on shore leave.
That's the one that I like. Yeah, that's so like what Sam would say. Like some of these are your own. Like don't. It doesn't need to make sense to other people. It's for you to recalibrate. And actually, I forgot. Like I refer to the last year being rough for me, and it's precisely because I forgot. It's like I don't. It's like oh God, you're a mud monster on shore leave, which to me means your story doesn't get to be about like. All right, well, whatever. Sam, like...
Also, other ones of Dan's, Unspeakable Sadness, Came Alone and Leaving Likewise. I love that one.
Yeah, they were rough.
But
That's not... Yeah, some people, you don't get the essences you want. You get the, you get the ones you need.
Can I ask a question? Some of these are so poetic. You're saying there was a list of 300 that people would circle, so these were
Those are
written
just
by
words.
hand.
The words would be like sarcastic, lazy.
Sam back in the day, you would get there, you would collate all this information, and you would find out, like, okay, everybody's calling you sarcastic or sardonic, witty.
I know, but like
funny.
Mud Monster on shore leave.
But Sam would just
That
write,
was just Sam.
Sam would just
He would
write
make
it
these
down.
pitches. You'd slide them across the table. Look at that. And I'd go, oh. The evolution of that was like the mud monster's always welcome at the ball or something like that. It was sort of like, and I was like, yeah, but I don't. I suppose he is, but I don't.
I would do
give
a monologue.
fuck.
I brought a monologue in for the acting class, like after that, a whole process, and it was like this tough guy asshole, like a kind of a mean, angry monologue, and I was trying to be a tough guy, and he goes, okay, Jeff, that was good. Let's do it again. And you have your card up your placard with all your essences on it, which is, kind of like, you feel very exposed because you're proud of some, embarrassed by others, but they're there. And he goes, Jeff, because one of my essences was dashing, dashing.
It gets you choked up how dashing you are.
No, sorry, see? Isn't that dashing him? And he goes, Jeff, why is dashing on that? I go, I don't like that one. Why? Because someone that's dashing wouldn't say they're dashing. And he goes, do it again. And I did it as dashing. I was just, and it was way scarier. Like if you just like own anything. He told one guy, he goes, do it again, but sit on your hands. He goes, you can't use your hands. Now do it. And it was the most terrifying thing in the world. He just had this way to bring out something by the turn of your hat or a little thing. Or like if it was Randy and you go, do it, like see the way you're tilting your head? What, like why do you do that? I always do. Now start. and then like it brings out the stuff. It's like your tears. Like if people that think they can't cry on camera or can't cry on command, like in a play or a TV show or a film, it's so close to the surface. Like really, all you have to do is slightly scratch the surface and just say, "Why do you tilt your head? Why are you listening like that?" I always do, and there's tears that come from that. And like he had this ability to absolutely draw humanity out of yourself that you think shouldn't be there. Couldn't be there, you're not allowed to possess it, or it's too far away to own. Like, he just had this ability. I mean, I'll fucking start crying. Like, he.
What? But Bob, what do you think? Like, okay, we've lost Sam. Nobody leaves. Nobody gets to like go. Oh, I'm scheduled to leave a month from now. Here's what I got to say. Goodbye. I'm packing my things. Like, it sounds like he left kind of weirdly peacefully. Relatively young man to, as you described it, you said he was at the home of his partner, and he just said, "I feel faint," and he laid his head down on the table, and he was gone. But how old was he again?
70.
Which I hope is the new 50 for my sake. I felt like Sam was 60 when I was 25, and he looked 60 the last time I saw him a couple of months ago. He was, anyways, but he, for a guy that he was always like, he took other people's fear away. He was interested in them, no matter how much of a schmendrick they were. I just like, he was so non-judgmental, like, or at least he just gave everybody a chance to figure out who the fuck they were. Now that he's gone, do you feel a door closing where you're like, oh shit, what did Sam want from me? Like, does that make sense? Like, is there something that you worry about personally that you're like, oh shit, if Sam had known he was going to take off and I had had a chance to say to him, hey, not to be even more selfish than I was our entire relationship, but any final thoughts? Because like that he might have given you some advice or given you an.
I don't feel that there were things that were unfinished between us, because we were always vocal about how important we were to each other in our lives. He was about to start a new chapter because he had bought a house in Asheville. So
North Carolina?
In North Carolina.
Nailed it.
So there was a part of him that was beginning this new chapter, and I don't know whether that had anything to do with his passing, that it was the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. But I know how rewarded he was. I wish I could have said goodbye to him, but I don't feel like there was anything unfinished between us. We were always very vocal about each other's lives, what was ahead of us as far as projects and dreams. And
you guys got together and you watched Bill Maher, and Sam was always very, he made no secrets about his politics, and yet his politics were sort of like, he wasn't like militant liberal, like, oh my God, we have to do something. But at the same time, he was absolutely unapologetic about,
and incredibly
this world is fucked up, the situation is fucked up.
politics.
So he's watching Bill Maher. He's able to put up with Bill Maher's personality.
Right.
That means that you guys sat week after week and you talked about his view of the world.
We did.
And so I guess that's the related question is, I don't want to be as corny as to say, if Sam were here right now, what would he say to us, knowing that he gets one last thing to say to us? But I guess that's, I don't know, something in that area. Like, Sam had an opinion about the world and the way it was going and stuff. Like, would he give it, like, we're like, hey, Sam, what should we remember to do now that you're gone and you're never going to remind us to do it again? Like, I put that upon you. It's really dumb, bad podcast hosting.
One of the things that he wanted was for Trump and Pence to both be taken down and have Nancy Pelosi be president.
Oh, okay, that's simple enough. We can get to the nuts and bolts of that. Yeah.
He just felt like, let somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing be in there.
It'd be funny because he's like Santa Claus. Like, Santa, what do you want from the world? I want Nancy Pelosi to be president. No, make no mistake. I've got really specific. Ho, ho, ho. I need the 23rd district to flip. And
he and he was predicting everything. Like he said, I think what's going to happen is that they're going to bring down Donald Trump Jr. and Jared and go to Trump and say, listen, this is what we're going to do. You better resign or this is going to happen.
I had that prediction too, as of the Roger Stone indictment too, that it actually comes down to Donald Jr., that it's not going to touch Trump at all.
Right.
I don't think that it's going to, I have that premonition. I've been reading like the experts kind of like speculation about this. I believe it actually, I do actually believe, as controversial as this may seem, that Donald Trump had no capacity to actually do anything but blunder his way into accidental treason. And he never was like, I got a great idea about like how to like be Dr. No. I think he totally thought he was just like, I'm winning. I know how to win. And I think his son, who is half as smart somehow,
What's half of zero?
went way too far and like took meetings and left a paper trail, and it's going to come to him. Right. But happy birthday, Sam. We're talking about this, but that it's I don't see it coming to that's the weird telenovela that I don't. How is that going to work? They're going to go, hey, we're locking your son away, and then he's going to go, that's all right. I'm going to pardon him, and everyone's going to go, yay! They're like, pardon him later. So long, son. I'm proud of you. Like, how does the pardoning work? Like, you can't do it until later, right? So, like, people are gonna watch him watch his son go to prison.
Right.
That's my prediction, and it's gonna finally find the funny bone of this dead corpse of an empire. Like, everyone's gonna go, that's fucking weird.
What do you think?
You're just watching your son go to prison. Like, no wall, no Mexican is that important. I can't fucking believe what you're doing.
What do you think Sam would essences for a Trump would be?
What are Trump's essences? Like, I searched out well, it would just be he kind of spouts them out. I mean, I think like if you could be a fan of his by going like, yeah, he said he would be his essences would be like, I'm big, very big, or like it would be like toy truck language, like my truck big. And it would be exactly why when you love him, you love him. If you love him, he'd be like, my truck big. Like, I get more candy. Like, I deserve all the candy.
Or hemorrhoidal.
Hemorrhoid.
A little bit, with a little touch, out of 7 essences, like 2 of them would be like, they would evoke pain. Like how come Obama made me hooked on opiates or something? Like, have this kind of like thumb sucky, like, why is everybody picking on me? Like, just a hint of that. But most of it would be like me no share me candy. And it would be like yeah, it's about time someone said that, because because I'm a fucking idiot.
Now do me. Like,
you?
I'm not doing, that wasn't a Trump. No, I'm saying
your
now
essences,
do me.
as far as I can tell, are
Tiny bean.
I love handsome people. I'm sorry we're listening to this podcast on my phone. I will continue to hit snooze every 10 minutes so that you'll never find out what the sentence was, because you just...
you burned me.
Right.
Damn.
That's
good.
That's like, we're listening to the podcast, and it's like, come on, it was 9 snoozes ago.
No,
Get
I
up!
only did it twice this morning. Come on.
All right.
You're being... Yeah.
I'm projecting a lot of shame about my snoozing. I don't know. Don't put me on the spot. Sorry.
All right. What were your other ones, Straub?
I don't remember the other. Those are the only 3 I remember.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember them.
I always
But
forget.
the first, those top 3 were. I mean, well,
Last Puppy at the Pound.
Last Puppy in the Pound is
Little Green Man.
Yeah,
And
those
it's-
2 were the big ones.
What
but-
do you think, Sam? Sam's here. Sam's watching. Sam now. Then he goes away after this show. As far as this being on stage, like, can you think of anything Sam would like to see us do as an exercise or anything to?
I think he'd
show
like
him.
us all to have nipple rings that you can see through his. That you can see through his
He
t-shirt.
looked like Santa Claus, but then if he would wear it, he was like fucking ripped, like in this like bear daddy way.
That
like
is
he had
so
a big
hot. I think you
barrel
should get
chest.
nipple rings.
And
Oh my God. I can see this.
And he would wear like polo shirts, and he had this like kind of painted on, beautiful white beard,
Razor sharp beard,
and,
yeah.
and he'd be like, I want to tell you how you need to activate yourself and what you be honest with yourself. And then you'd like, if you squinted, you'd be like, this guy's got 2 pierced nipples. underneath his incredibly tasteful polo.
What year?
Rock on, baby.
What year was your birthday that we roasted you and Sam was there?
30th.
30.
birthday.
It's for Dan's 30th birthday. We have it. I think we have it on video somewhere, right?
Oh, that'd be great. I can't wait for that to surface.
Yeah.
Can I do more than quit Twitter? By the way, I quit Twitter and then they fucking. All right.
We roasted Dan.
The timeline.
And I said when Sam was dating Ken Cortland, who's the best also, and one of Ken's essences was predatory.
Yeah,
And when he said, he goes, "I'm predatory," and you're like, "Oh shit, I'm in danger right now." I roasted Sam, and one of my jokes was, one of yours was, Sam gave me my start. Sam is so old that he gave me my start. This is your joke, like, and it's nice to think that the guy that gave me my start also invented fire.
Yeah, all right. I think it's. I don't know if it was like things feel like Sam kind of in a certain sense he discovered me, which is very flattering because he also discovered fire. It was a roast joke and it wasn't worth repeating. But to fuck it up like that is.